welcome everybody to the very first edition of the Yugo podcast. Yes, I finally started a podcast. I noticed that you can really never get everything that you want to say out with like 2-minute videos or minute and a half videos. So the podcast is the only way where I can actually express everything that I want to say and not be held to a certain time frame or, a certain length of video. So there's a lot of topics that I want to get into, and I think like the podcast is probably the best way to go about it. And I don't have any guests, as you can tell. I don't have any guests, and I don't have a co-host or whatever you call those guys. I'm a lone fighter for today. I might have guests in the future, and I might have a co-host maybe, but as of right now, I want to get be one-on-one and let you guys know my point of views in the very first episode, so that we can understand from going on from now. I got a lot of topics that I want to talk about, as I said. So yesterday I was lying down thinking about topics, and since I only talk about the NBA, and that's really the only thing that I really care about, unless it's Super Bowl. I think that's the only other thing that I actually talk about, which is football Super Bowl. Other than that, NBA throughout the entire season is the only thing that I like to watch and talk about. And if you think about what the NBA talks about and it's intrigued about around this time, it's really all about, majority is about the MVP discussion. Who deserves the MVP? Who's the best player? Who are the media going to vote for? Who do the fans think should win it? And I hate to sound like one of those stubborn guys that think it should only be one way and one way only, and that's how it should be for the future as well. But the MVP of the league, and the guy who's been the MVP of the league for the past 10 years, is LeBron James. And, the media is always going to vote for the stats, and they're never going to vote for the person that's most valuable. See, if you take that word valuable and just look at it by its definition and what the actual word valuable is supposed to be meant, the word valuable is somebody that's worth more, something or someone that's worth more. And LeBron James has always been the person that's been worth more in the NBA. Buying a Lamborghini is exciting, but buying a house is more valuable. Buying a new pair of Jordans it's exciting, but paying for your phone bill is more valuable. Russell Westbrook and James Harden are more exciting players in the league, but LeBron is the most valuable without a doubt. And the thing with Russell Westbrook as well, you ask these people that are, they're crazy about Russell Westbrook and why they think he should win the MVP. It's always that one thing. He's averaging a triple-double, but his team's losing. But he's averaging a triple-double. But he's inefficient, but he's averaging a triple-double. And I get it, he's averaging a triple-double, and it's never happened since, when was it, Oscar Robertson. And I understand that people want to see something new. They want to be a part of history in the making. But look at it this way. My biggest pet peeve, and I don't know if this is your pet peeve as well, but my biggest pet peeve in the NBA is a ball dominant guard that's inefficient. Russell Westbrook shooting 42% from the field and 34% from the three-point line. You know what that is? That's mediocrity. And for a guy of Russell Westbrook's standards and the level that people hold him to, that's flat out garbage. And if we take the points and assists out, because he's the only offensive option that they have in the Thunder, so he should be getting those points, and he's the point guard for the Thunder as well, and so he should be getting those assists. But the rebounds, he's averaging 10 rebounds. How is he doing that? Look at this. You probably didn't know this. Russell Westbrook is averaging 7.7 rebounds per game that are uncontested. That's a higher percentage of uncontested rebounds than James Harden. You know James Harden, the guy that we say doesn't put effort on the defensive end? Russell Westbrook is averaging a higher percentage of uncontested rebounds than the effortless James Harden. And speaking of James Harden, who's also another guy that they say they call him a 1 and 2 with Russell Westbrook and James Harden. It's basically tied, whoever's going to win it. You also ask these James Harden fanboys. I'm a fan of James Harden as well, so don't get me wrong. But you ask these guys that are voting for James Harden, and you ask them, why are you voting for James Harden to win the MVP? What are they going to tell you? He's the only reason why the Rockets are even doing good. He's the only reason why the Rockets are the 3rd seed. And of course, James Harden helps a lot. He's their superstar. Of course, he's going to help a lot. But can we stop acting like James Harden is playing with a bunch of trash cans? The Rockets GM put a crap load of snipers in the Rockets wings. They have some of the deadliest shooters in the entire league. And James Harden is the beneficiary of that system. Not only that, he got Mike D'Antoni to draw up game plans for him. Mike D'Antoni is the same guy that got Steve Nash 2 MVPs back to back. And you can argue whether or not he deserved it, whether or not it was Shaq that deserved the second one, or it was him that deserved the second one. You can argue all you want, but one thing you can't deny is that Mike D'Antoni's system allowed Steve Nash to get that. Just like how right now, Mike D'Antoni's system is allowing James Harden to be as great as he is right now. And same goes for Kawhi. Kawhi Leonard. He has Greg Popovich, arguably the greatest coach of all time. And you think that Kawhi Leonard would, of course, he'd play as great of defense, and he definitely wouldn't be as great of an offensive player without Greg Popovich. But you think about all the game plan that the Spurs have, it's catered towards a guy like Kawhi Leonard to make him look greater than he is. Same with Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni is the type of coach that makes the stars look much greater than they actually are. When was the last time you actually said, oh wow, that coach is really making LeBron James look better? It's actually the flip side of that. LeBron James makes the coaches look better. When was the last time LeBron James has had a good coach? What, Eric Spoelstra? Mike Brown? David Blatt? Tyronn Lue? You guy had some of the worst coaches of all time, and yet he's still able to make them look good. What's happened to Mike D'Antoni right now? He's the backup for Steve Kerr. I think he's the assistant coach or whatever. David Blatt, he's coaching in Israel right now. He has some of the worst. Eric Spoelstra is the only one that actually came out, and he's looking good right now. But at the time when LeBron James was on the team, Eric Spoelstra was still a rookie coach. He didn't know what the hell he was doing at all. He made him look better. He made all these coaches look greater than they actually are. And when I say that LeBron James is the MVP, I'm not just saying it for the hell of it. And it's not like LeBron isn't putting up great stats. The dude's averaging 26 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists. That's near a triple-double. But the best part about LeBron's game is what I always talk about, the efficiency. How efficient the player is. LeBron's shooting 54% from the field and 40% from 3. That means he religiously makes half of his shots and 4 out of 10 of his threes. That's insane. And you can argue all you want that Russell Westbrook and James Harden are more valuable to their team and they make their team better than they actually are. But let me tell you this. LeBron James, when he's on the court, the Cavs outscore teams by 7 points. When he's off the court, the opponents outscore the Cavs by 3 points. That's a 10-point swing. That's the highest swing of any player in the NBA. And that's something you can't deny. Because when we talk about the word valuable, there's a whole new definition. And I wish that the media really understood the true definition of valuable. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back to the second topic. See you then. Alright, welcome back everybody. Welcome back to the Yugo podcast. As I stated before, this is the very first podcast that I'm going to be making, and it's probably not going to be the best one because I still haven't, figured out what I'm going to be doing, what's going to be unique about this podcast. I haven't even had a guest yet, or maybe a co-host in the future. So this is I'm basically freestyling this right now, and hopefully you guys like it. I mean, I don't know, but I'm just going with the flow as of right now. But as we discussed in the first topic, the MVP award and all that stuff, I hope you guys really understood my point of view, and you guys aren't just gonna come down and just trash what I'm saying, and really listen to this podcast with an open mind. I don't want no closed-minded people up in here, because if you're closed-minded, there's nothing on earth that I can say that's gonna get you to be swayed to my opinion, because your brain is too closed-minded. As I said, it's never gonna. It's like a stubborn old man, and I don't want to disrespect old people because I got a lot of old people in my life too, but it's like that stubborn old man that won't go to the doctor because he thinks that he doesn't need a doctor. It's just like that. I mean, you gotta really be open-minded to other people's opinions, just like how I am. I mean, I had different opinions 5 years ago than I have right now, and that's because I actually stayed with an open mind and listened to what people had to say and really took into consideration. So I really want to get into the second topic, because I want to start discussing the finals and all the finals matchups and who I think is going to come out of the East and the West, and who I think... I'm not going to really talk about who I think is going to win the finals as of right now, because we haven't even gotten to the finals yet. Maybe when we get to the finals, I'll definitely be giving my prediction, because I always say predictions are a biased opinion, and you can't really trust a biased opinion that well. But as for who I think is going to make the finals, see, if we're going to talk about before Kevin Durant's injury, I would have said most likely it was going to be the Cavs and the Warriors. We already know that the Cavs are going to make it out of the East. That's a foregone conclusion. But as for the West, with Kevin Durant's injury, the Warriors are clearly a worse team. And the worst part about it is he's out for the rest of the regular season, and I know he's going to come back in the playoffs, which is really good. But what percentage of Kevin Durant is going to come? Is it going to be 100% of Kevin Durant? Or is it going to be 80% because of his knees? Because he needs to be at 100% to get past the Spurs. If the Warriors aren't at 100%, and Kevin Durant is wobbling all over the place, the Spurs are going to run them out of town. The Spurs are going to stomp all over them. And which is why I don't want to say for sure it's going to be either the Spurs or the Warriors, but if I'm going to vote right now and I had like a gun to my head and somebody had to tell me, predict who's going to be, and if it's wrong, I'm going to kill you, I would say it's going to be the Spurs. Because you really don't know whether or not Kevin Durant's going to be healthy, and what Stephen Curry has a history of being injured, especially in the playoffs. So I would say the Spurs. The Spurs are coming out of the West, but there's going to be tough matchups for the Spurs and the Warriors because they got the Houston Rockets, they got the Jazz, they got Memphis, who's bad matchups for the Warriors, and I think they're a bad matchup for the Spurs as well. And I was hoping that the Pelicans can make it to the ace seed and versus the Warriors, because we all know that the Warriors have a tough time with big men. And their biggest struggles are when they go up against a guy like Anthony Davis or DeMarcus Cousins or Hassan Whiteside or any of those people. They have real trouble with those big guys. But if we're going to talk about the finals and leave all these conference matches aside, I'm guessing it's going to be the Spurs or Warriors. But here's my question. Are the Spurs or the Warriors a tougher matchup for the Cavs? And I want to really explain this in depth. Cleveland isn't very good against length and size. When you get a team that has a great big man and a team that has, like a Hassan Whiteside or Anthony Davis or DeMarcus Cousins or any of those great big men, the Cavs always struggle against them. I don't know what it is, but with length and size, that's their weakness. That's their kryptonite. And that's something that the Spurs have. The Spurs got LaMarcus Aldridge, they got Pau Gasol, they got Kawhi Leonard, who has crazy length. Not to mention, Kawhi Leonard is one of the best defenders in the league. If not, he is the best. So the Spurs really have a great advantage over the Cleveland Cavaliers if they make it to the finals. Again, because of their length and their system, the system that they play in is great on defense and gets the best percentage shot. When it comes to the Warriors, I hate to break it and I hate to keep beating on that same drum, but LeBron and Kyrie always dominate the Warriors. Every time that the Cavs have went up against the Warriors, it's either LeBron or Kyrie dominating them. We saw it in the 2016 finals. We saw it in 2015 when LeBron James did it all by himself, and he took them to 6 competitive games with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love not even in the series. Kyrie Irving was only there for game 1, and he got injured in overtime, and they lost in overtime. But LeBron James dominated them by himself when they went up against the Warriors. So Kyrie Irving and LeBron James are very comfortable going up against the Warriors. Not to mention, the Cleveland Cavaliers already built their team to go up against the Warriors. They added shooters. They're trying to add a couple big guys. They built their team to go up against the Warriors with all faith that they're going to go up against the Warriors once again and make it a trilogy. But I don't know, man. The tables have turned once Kevin Durant got injured. I mean, the Spurs are really looking vicious right now, and it doesn't look like the Warriors are getting any better. And as I said, when Kevin Durant comes back, nobody in the world knows how healthy he's going to be when he comes back. As for the Spurs, as I said, with Kawhi Leonard, but also Greg Popovich and Kawhi Leonard, I believe, and I'm not even blowing smoke when I say this, I believe those two are the best in the league when it comes to defending LeBron. I'm not saying that they stop LeBron, because nobody in the league is a LeBron stopper. They said Iguodala, and then LeBron dominated Iguodala again. But he's still going to get his 25 to 35 points, his 9 rebounds, and 10 assists in the finals. But it's going to be some tough points and some tough plays for LeBron to have to go up against Kawhi Leonard. And I can guarantee you, with all my heart, that LeBron James does not want to go up against the Spurs. I still believe, and I'm not going to make a prediction. I'm not going to make a prediction yet. I still believe that the Cavs can beat the Spurs, but it's going to be much tougher than going up against the Warriors, since, as I said, they already built their team around beating the Warriors, and they had no idea that they were even going to get close to versing the Spurs. And again, Kawhi Leonard, the Spurs are just not a good matchup for the Cavs because of the size differential, and there's really no way to go around it. They can kind of... I can guarantee you that the Cavs already drew plans out for the Spurs already. They ran plays as if they're going up against the Warriors. Sorry, not the Spurs, the Warriors. And they basically, their whole mindset, their whole mind frame is how we're going to beat the Warriors. And then out of nowhere, you have the Spurs coming out of the West. It's like a huge slap across the face. Like, what were you doing? And all I can say, man, is I'm pretty sure that the Cavs are not looking forward for the Spurs. And they're probably praying that the Warriors make it out so that they can continue with the plans that they had. Well, that's basically all I had to say for today. I still have a lot of things that I want to talk about, and I can go hours and hours about the things that I want to talk about, especially now that the NBA season is getting really heated right now, and nobody knows what's going to happen in the playoffs. As we all thought that the Warriors and the Cavs were going to make it to the finals last year, and right now we don't know what's going to happen. So there's going to be a lot of podcasts I'm going to make in the future, and hopefully I'm going to have a guest next podcast, or probably a co-host, something like that. But that's all I want to talk about for today. I think that the podcast is a great way for you guys to really see my point of view and what I really think about everything that's going on in the NBA. And it's, of course, and as always, it's going to be majority about the NBA, and maybe I might squeeze in some football or something like that from time to time, but it's mostly going to be NBA. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast. If you guys did, if this is on YouTube, then be sure to click the like button. And thank you guys for listening. See you guys on the next podcast. Bye-bye.